All right, we're back at it with another video. I'm going to be a little bit more chill this time and not insult every single country. Well, not every single, but last video I got a bit of heat. So this one I'm going to be a bit more chill and I'm just going to focus a little bit more on where to live in Latin America. So I'm in my 20s, I'm 25. I do like to explore the world. I do like to find out where is the best place to live. Just generally squeezing the juice out of life, like if life was an orange and you just didn't squeeze the juice out of it, what are you playing at? You've got to be finding where the best place to live is, and it's probably not the village that you were born in. So it could be, but it may not be. So that's why you've got to figure it out. And I'm here to help you figure it out because I've done what you don't have to. I've gone to all the shitholes and I've figured out where's good and where's not. Let's close this window that people cannot hear me insulting their country. I'm currently in a co-working space in Nicaragua. Let's get going. So, this isn't going to be coming from a tourist perspective. If you want to go where, if you want to go just on a holiday once a year, then just go to the mainstream places. Trust me, they're fine. Thailand's good, Mexico's good, Italy's good. Just go there. No need to go crazy. But if you're wanting to move, you wanting to immigrate, if you're wanting to find somewhere good to go, you want to meet interesting people, build cool businesses, connect with the local community, this is what it's all about. Enjoying life to the fullest. So, no more preamble. What is the primary criteria? The first thing is to avoid anywhere super dangerous or with shitty dictatorship, commie governments. I mean, it sounds so obvious, but like we know communism sucks, and yet there's still some shitty countries. Like, I'm not spending time there. I don't care if it's cheaper. I'm not supporting that. I mean, and all these countries that people say are like, oh, they're fine, communism, like Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, um, whatever, North Korea. Everyone's trying to fucking escape from. So I don't buy it. I don't buy it that, oh, it's nice. Western media gets it all wrong. No. People are trying to escape from it. People are escaping from it, and people are immigrating from it in massive. So they suck. So for Latin America, what does that exclude? That excludes Venezuela, um, Nicaragua. This is what we're going to be focused on. We're going to focus on um, Latin America. Excludes sort of Venezuela, excludes sort of Cuba, excludes a little bit Nicaragua. A lot of Nicaraguans have emigrated to Costa Rica, and I'm in Nicaragua now, so I have to be a bit careful what I have to say. But this country's fine. I like it, but wouldn't live here. And I think that's mostly it for Latin America, where you know they have a really shitty government. I mean, surprisingly, it's kind of okay for now. We just got Venezuela, everyone's leaving, and we got Cuba, which is you have to wait for like 2 hours to get internet, and we've got Nicaragua where there's like no elections. So that's primary criteria number one. Number two is I'm going to offend some people, but I'm in my 20s. I want to meet a bunch of people. I want to get the most out of life. I am not going to be chilling in fucking Martinique. Okay, so anywhere that's super small or lack the modern comforts, or there isn't a nice rooftop bar somewhere, or has really bad infrastructure, then it's not the one for me. And small places, don't get me wrong, it would be fantastic to be chilling in Barbados or St. Lucia, drinking pina coladas on the beach. But for living, we're talking about living here, we're talking about having a base, we're talking about conquering the world here. I am not going to be drinking pina coladas on the regular. That gets boring fast. So there's that. So that includes excludes a lot of these countries, unfortunately, even Belize. Like it's a little bit, you look at the booking.com, there's like 30 hotels in the entire city. It's like it's not big enough for me. And I like to be somewhere where I can be a little bit anonymous, but still have a community. You know what I mean? And then number three is excluding boring countries. I'd have to honestly, I hate to say it, but Uruguay is pretty fucking boring. So that excludes that. And after that, honestly, your Latin America is quite a small place. After you do that, there's only around 14 countries left. I've counted them. So we can now get into the secondary criteria. So that's the first criteria. That eliminates a lot. Now we've got secondary criteria. Oh, and also we're also looking at like quite very dangerous places. El Salvador's now fine. I'd honestly say Honduras is probably not worth it. It's just on the border of not being worth it. I mean, you wouldn't want to live there. You probably wouldn't want to live there. And there used to be some like freedom, like crypto kind of tech island up here, and the government ruined it. So kind of sucks. So yeah, we've got the secondary criteria now. Now I think if you can be anywhere, you want to be somewhere where there's a good community, there's a good vibe of people, you can get on with people, you can build friendships. And I'm learning Spanish and I'm learning English. So for Latin America, I'm looking at Spanish or English speaking places, ideally. And you want a good community. So the only one that can kind of be excluded there is Brazil, because you need to kind of know Brazilian, especially if you're going outside Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro, which are fairly close to each other. So if we're looking at my list now, I've got on the left here, Brazil is on my, this is my to visit list. It's a bit complicated here, but on my to visit list is Brazil and Sao Paulo here. But if I really like it, if I really think it's the best place in the world, like a lot of people are saying, then I will add it to my base rotation. But it will mean I need to pick up Portuguese. You know what I mean? You have to figure that out. So that's that one. So that's why it's on the to visit for now, because I haven't visited it. If I really like it, I'll add it to my bases. If I don't like it so much, I'll add it to my maybe visit. If I really hate it, then I won't go there again. The other thing is cost of living. I'm not going to focus too much on that because, to be honest, if you're earning more than 10K US dollars, you're going to have a good time anywhere here in the Americas. And I am focusing on the Americas here, believe it or not. I would not personally want to live in Canada and for the taxes and a lot of the US, except for the maybe some of the southern states here, but we'll get into that. And then the other thing is the politics and business environment. So beyond avoiding the obvious dictatorships, like I said before, you want a place where entrepreneurship is celebrated and, or at least not hindered. At least you're not going to have trouble doing stuff, you know? So you want to look at places that have a policy of doing business quite easily, where there's a good payments infrastructure, things like that, and you don't have to like bribe a cartel. That would suck, right? So, and you don't want insane bureaucracy. And then the other thing would be entrepreneurial culture. What do you want? You want to be around people that are starting businesses, doing stuff, grinding on their grind. That's really important to me. So that is that. So when I come down to that, and after looking at all those things, we have a rough list. We've got Mexico, we've got Colombia, both quite good to do business, quite such a variety of cities, and really good spot to be. A lot of Americans there, you know, it's quite a little bit westernized, but not too much. And we do have another few countries here, which I will go through. But first, we've got the countries, but the other thing to consider is the cities. So once you're in a city, I think you want to be in a big city. You want to be somewhere where shit happens. You don't want to be in a small city. You want to be near an international airport. You want to be around a bunch of people, especially in this area of Latin America. If you're anyone important, you're going to be in a city usually. And I want to be around important and interesting people. So city vibe and infrastructure. You want a nice vibe. Consider Managua, Nicaragua over Barcelona, for example. Completely different vibe, completely different that. This is something that's very hard to tell, and you have to kind of figure it out for yourself. But once you've got the country down, and you can sort of whittle the country down, you can whittle the city down quite easy by going around there, right? And you can always chop and change that quite easily. For example, if you've got a residency permit, you can then switch it up. And climate and weather. You get a big variety here in Latin America, especially with the elevation of some cities. So, for example, in Colombia, you've got Bogota, where it's quite cold. And let's have a look at it. It's 15 degrees there right now. And you've got Medellin, which is probably going to be around 20, yeah, 21. And then you've got the coasts here, Like for example, Cartagena or Barranquilla, which is 28. It does vary a lot based on the weather. Personally, for me, I like it being all year round above 20. I'm okay with it going a little bit below for a couple months, but I want it to be 20 all year round. So that does exclude places like Quito, and which is 12 degrees now, and that does exclude places like La Paz, which is 12 degrees now again. So weather is important, you know. You want to wake up and you want to be nice. And I'm coming from the UK where it's grey every fucking day, and you don't want that. So, in 10 minutes, now let's get into the cities. So, I'll start off with the best. My favorite tier one cities are Mexico, Mexico City. Why Mexico City? It's the largest Spanish speaking country in the world. Country? Yeah. And I think the largest Spanish speaking city in the world, Mexico City. Massive. Most people tend to stay around this area. It's very nice. It's walkable. They've got a metro system. You've got plenty of world-class cuisine. Nice to walk around. People say the traffic's bad. I don't think it is. And it's just it's a very good for international airports. They've got one airport there, and they've got a brand new airport somewhere up here, if I can find out where it is, which is also very nice. And it's just generally quite a good vibe here. You know, you've got Mexico City, very modern, pretty good. But, you know, that could be trumped by some of my later ones. And then my second choice would be Medellin, Colombia. Why would it be Medellin, Colombia? Firstly, it's not too hot, it's not too cold. They call it the city of eternal spring. It is very true. It's a very nice place. You can get a place in the mountains overlooking the city, and it is honestly beautiful. I mean, just look at that. It's so nice to have a place in the mountains, just looking over the place. It really is unbeatable. Great food, great rooftop bars, um, very good return on investment, better than Mexico City. There's a few DJs there and stuff like that, but you're always going to get that. Very nice airport with a good lounge and just tons of stuff going on. If you were staying here, in Mexico, you'd sort of stay in the central bits. You could say Laurales or El Poblado, but I wouldn't stay super central. I'd stay a little bit out. Or if you wanted to be a little bit edgy, you could go somewhere along this main highway. And to be honest, it will take you 15, 20 minutes to get into there from there. Or stay in the mountains a bit. I think staying in the mountains would be my shout. I'd probably stay in the mountains, maybe a little bit like up here or up here. It's where a lot of wealthy people tend to stay, and it's super quick to get into the city. So there's that. My tier twos. I've only recently been to El Salvador, San Salvador, and I absolutely loved it. The president there is an absolute legend, and they're building so many new infrastructure projects. So, for example, here they're building a brand new airport. They're also building the biggest hospital in Central America. The city itself is nice. It's almost like a mini Medellin. You can get somewhere in the mountains above and have a nice view. There's good coffee shops. There's this area here, and where is it? There's this area here, and there's basically this area here that the really nice areas. There's a historical center here where they've got a 24-hour library. And I haven't explored much outside of that, but I just know that there's something for everyone. You can pay for Bitcoin wherever you want. There's some really nice national parks, and it's a very small country, which means that you can get to the beach in an hour. You can go there, you can go there. So that's something which actually almost makes it better than Mexico City and Colombia because you can get to the beach, you can get to the mountains, you can get to the volcanoes in less than an hour. Really, really, really useful. Number two on my tier two is Paraguay, all the way down here. So I honestly say that you have to have a very good reason to be coming down here because it takes such a long time with flights. And I'll explain later why not Chile and Argentina, but Paraguay I really like. And I'll tell you why, because it's undiscovered. No one goes there. You speak to people in Colombia and Argentina and tell them that you're in Asunción, Paraguay. They'll be like, wow, very edgy. There's two or three nice neighborhoods around here. Airport gets you few different places. Things are cheap. There's 24-hour like convenience stores called like Biggie, and you can just get anything. You can get anything from cigars to steak in the middle of the night. Downside is nature's a little bit lackluster and it's flat and there's no mountains. So it's a little bit, it's like, but very good for residency, very good for setting up a base, very good for a plan B location. Outside of the capital, it's very rural, very adventure-like. Like, what the hell is going on here, you know? Um, this is kind of one of those places you can just chill, people will leave you alone, you can get some work done. Really can't argue with it. Really can't argue with it. And I much prefer Paraguay over Uruguay. Argentina is almost too big. I wouldn't know where to start in Chile and Bolivia and almost Brazil. It's safer than most of the countries around here, except Chile and Uruguay. And Chile and Uruguay I found boring, but Paraguay was like safe and not boring. So in my opinion, it was great. And you can book hotels here for $10 a night that are nice. It's got a nice historical center. It's very off the grid, but and there's a very good digital nomad sort of community now growing up here. And although it's not like the most amazing place now, and I don't spend too long here myself now, if I had to put money on somewhere growing, it would be Azerbaijan. And that, for now, started off with Latin America because I can find it quite easy for now to choose my favorite bases. But that is really it. And then I have visiting. So if you were just looking for where to live, you can end the video now. But if you're looking also where to visit, I'll go through that now. So Peru, just overall in a place to visit, is very hard to go wrong. Lima is a very grey city. It's a little bit boring. Arequipa, Iquitos, Cusco, that's where you want to be. Amazing place. Not somewhere to live, in my opinion. Lima is a really disappointment in terms of the city. They're right by the coast, but they've built a highway right along the beach. So it's just horrible. You can't go to the beach and it's a little bit sketchy in past, like in Gallo area, a little bit sketchy. So it's just a visit location. Mexico, I haven't been to many other places to visit. So, by the way, this entire video will be updated in a year and I'll have different opinions. But in Mexico, I quite like Playa del Carmen. Don't go to Tulum, it fucking sucks. And don't go to Cancun. Go to Playa del Carmen if you want a beach, if you want a city, in one. Why not? What else have we got here? And then we go to USA, which I'm including in this. And before Trump came into power, I'd be like, yeah, just avoid. But now Trump's back. Okay. Whereas, where do you want to be in the US? I'd say you want to be in somewhere in the South where it's nice and warm all year round. So, Austin, Texas. For such a small place, the amount of events I saw happening there was kind of crazy. Like, there's so much stuff going on there. Amazing. I don't know if it'd be the most exciting place to be, but I think it's like really good. And anywhere else south, Miami, I thought it was a bit too flashy, a bit too Latin American. I mean, why would you want to be in Miami when you could be in Mexico City or Colombia? I wouldn't follow it. But Florida's nice. There's probably some good places around here. I would still need to explore that. Florida's nice to visit. Texas is nice to visit. And that's what I've put so far on there. Guatemala, I like Guatemala. Guatemala City is one of those Latin American cities, like almost anywhere that is very zone specific. You can go to some absolute terrible zones that at 8 p.m. are completely dead and everyone's locked in their houses for crime. But then you've got some nicer areas. So if you are here, you kind of just want to be around this area, around the airport. A little bit, you could have a good time here for sure, but you'll just be chilling around this area. And it's almost in the same category as Lima, as I kind of put. It's kind of like, yeah, there's a nice area, but in like a whole city vibe. I don't like the feeling of being in a city and then being like, you can't go to this area, you know? It's a bit. And what else have we got? So that is pretty much it for my visit so far, where I'd be happy visiting again or on the regular. There's that. So to summarize, tier one, tier two, visit. Now I'm going to do a very quick one of where I'm going to visit next. So, first off, let's start why these are under Argentina, I find it such a very big country, and it didn't help that I went when it was very cold. So I was in Buenos Aires, and it was like -4. There was no Latin American vibes, no outdoor dining, none of that stuff. It's a very historical city. It looks beautiful, but the economy still has to improve a lot. Mileli, he's doing his best, but not quite there. It's something to watch for a while. And yeah, there's that. Then Chile, why not Chile? It's such a long country, I would have no idea where to start. Honestly, wouldn't know where to start. And if you're coming this far, I would expect it to be cheap, and I don't think it is. So both to summarize Argentina and Chile, it's a bit, and also Chilean apparently like the language is quite difficult to understand in Spanish. So there's that. So if we're looking at Argentina and Chile, cold throughout some of the year, difficult to travel around. Sometimes not the warmest people. I mean, I don't want to offend Argentinians, but they're not as warm as Colombians. Let's just say that, And very European vibes. And if I want European vibes, I'll just go to Europe. That's for in Buenos Aires, right? I'll just go to Europe. And it used to be very cheap. So that kind of made sense. It was kind of like, oh, yeah, you can fly to Argentina. It's going to take you 14 hours and cost you like $2,000 on a flight, but you can get some $2 steaks. That doesn't exist anymore. And it doesn't exist in Chile either. So it doesn't make much sense here. And if I'm already having Paraguay as a base, I can easily make trips elsewhere. And Ecuador, I think it's one to watch, but I think it's just a bit too unstable right now. And you've got Quito, which is too cold, and you've got Guayaquil, which is apparently too dangerous. And there's that. So in the last few minutes, just want to say where I'm going to visit. In the US, I really want to visit South California, like San Diego. I think that'd be quite cool. Especially if I'm setting up a base in Mexico, I'd love to be South US because then not easily, but I could drive to Mexico City or whatever and buy a house, buy a car in Mexico or buy a car in the US and drive it backwards and forwards. I don't think that's too difficult to do. I think a lot of Americans do that, so that would be kind of cool. Because I don't have to buy, if I'm setting up 3 or 4 bases, I don't have to buy like 3 or 4, 5 cars of the same. That would be a lot of expense and a lot of hassle because you come back and the battery's dead and like so there's San Diego. I also really do want to visit New York City. I probably would never make it a base, but I really want to go there. It's been on my list for a while, so I'm just put that in there. And then I think, I mean, some people have said Phoenix, Arizona is quite nice. I don't know, but that's the only other big city I see kind of close to the border that looks kind of nice. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in El Paso, probably not, but you know, somewhere around here might be quite nice. But it's probably quite hot there, isn't it? Well, 23, not too bad. Um, that's that for to visit for the US for base purposes. I also want to visit Las Vegas just for fun. I don't think I'd make it a base, but it seems like a fun place to be. And what else have we got? I've already said Brazil. I'm going to visit there, but it has to be the most amazing place I've ever visited ever to make it one of my bases. Because it's like I don't really want to learn Portuguese. Really don't. Colombia, I do want to check out because I Medellin's up there, but it's kind of becoming a bit over tour, bit too much tourism. So if I can find a slightly lower population one similar to Medellin, like I heard Pereira, I don't know how you say it, is like slightly less population than Medellin, but still great for business and stuff, then I could make that. Say the inland coffee region, I think they call it. Or choose one of these ones on the thing. Cartagena or Barranquilla could be an option as a base. And Mexico, I've also heard good things about Guadalajara. Apparently, it's like the Silicon Valley of Mexico. And if we have a look where it is, where is it? It's there. Yeah, it's kind of a good kind of place to be. Like, I don't know how long it is from Mexico City to Guadalajara by flight or whatever, but you're fairly near Puerto Vallarta and near a nice lake. Could be nice. Panama City, going to be visited, see what it's saying. No thoughts so far. And then Mexico, I also want to visit Oaxaca, probably just for fun. I wouldn't be living there, and I probably wouldn't be living Puerto Escondido. That's just a visit location. Other places to visit is probably Costa Rica, which I'm going to do probably in a couple of weeks. Dominican Republic is a possible. I mean, I think Dominican Republic and Bolivia are very possible ones. Dominican, yeah, maybe. Probably too many Haitians there. And what is Santo Domingo really nice? That'd be the only sort of big city you could go to. I might remove that from my list, but we'll see. And then Bolivia is just very slow internet, slow whatever. So that's just a fun visit location. Apparently, it's like a bit of an adventure in Bolivia. And I think it'd be quite easy for me to get there from Asuncion to get to Santa Cruz. Not too far by car or by plane. So that's it. So yeah, to summarize, this is what Latin my thoughts on Latin America are. Kept this video under half an hour, which is fantastic. Do it at 2 or 3x speed. I don't want to waste your life, so do it at 2 or 3x speed. And maybe you disagree with me everywhere, but if I had to summarize with you, and if you don't want to waste any time and you just want to base in Latin America, head to Mexico City, head to Medellin, Colombia, and see from there. And if you want to be a bit more adventurous, go to San Salvador, go to Asuncion. And if you want to be a tourist, go to Peru, go to Playa del Carmen or any of the beaches in Mexico, or go to the big tier US cities for fun, or go to Antigua, Guatemala. That's all I can say so far now. Next year, I'll hopefully have like an apartment or a base in Colombia or Mexico, or maybe somewhere else. And I will know further from there what is good. So thanks for watching. I'll also do one on Asia and Europe. Maybe I'll put those into one video, or maybe I'll do two separate ones. And I'll also touch on Africa and um, Oceania. But consider this part one of cities in 2025. But things change so quickly, so this may be out of date if you're watching this a year later. So that's just my general thoughts on it after visiting 62 countries now. So thank you very much for watching. To the 100 people that are watching it so far, I appreciate you. I appreciate you spending some time. Hopefully you get some more enjoyment in this than some random fucking shitty Netflix series, you know. But adios and hasta luego.